You're watching NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. That is Mitchell Renz. The NFL trade deadline rapidly approaching. So today we're taking a look at a fresh list of names of who could be traded before the NFL or during the NFL trade deadline. Mitch, kicking us off with Mark Ingram.
Yeah, we're going to have a little bit of fun. You like spice in your food? I hope so, because if Mark Ingram got dealt, this would be blockbuster. Now, we already know that Baltimore's future plans, right? KJ Dobbins, he's the future run. Yeah, JK, he's the future there in Baltimore. He had the 4th most carries in Week 6. That's because he got banged up. But realistically, if you're talking about a team that probably could move their number 1 running back, and there's a lot of teams that need a number 1 running back, I actually think it could be Baltimore. So this is what he's done this season. He's been productive, and since he has come from New Orleans, Mark Ingram has been a very good north and south type running back in the AFC North. 50 carries, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns. The reason why I thought about this, the reason why I flirted with this, if another team needs a running back and at least calls up the Ravens and said, hey, maybe we can make this move. I mean, Lamar Jackson, he's probably their best running back there, right? 346 yards. But then you got your other 3 guys, Gus Edwards and then JK. JK's a running back that I know they like a lot. The Gus bus is more of your short yardage back. So realistically, I think Baltimore, let's say they could add a piece to their, defense, or maybe they could add an offensive lineman.
You're talking player-for-player trade.
Yes.
Interesting, okay.
So that's what I want to happen here. I wanted to have a little bit of fun. So let's look at Week 6 versus the Eagles. Mark went down with an injury. He didn't return, and he actually didn't really need to return because the game was basically out of hand.
Because Lamar ran for like 100-plus.
Yeah, I mean, he ran for, I believe it was exactly 106. But the game was a blowout. Sure, Philly came back and made it close. But the reason why I think this is interesting is because the one team that they can't beat is the Chiefs. Improve your defense. You have 2 other running backs plus Lamar Jackson. Figure out a way how you can go out and get a big-name safety. Honestly, maybe even a safety that you could be seeing coming up here in just a little bit.
So should the Ravens trade Mark Ingram then? Get your votes in. Y for yes, N for no. I think your idea of moving him to get a player back is certainly intriguing. I'd say the Ravens don't want to give away players to help them win, but they also cut Earl Thomas because he was being a problem child. Of course, Ingram has not been that. Get your votes in. Y for yes, N for no. And then, Mitch, you've got some potential fits. Do you think makes some sense for Ingram?
Absolutely. So one of the teams that was at least poking around Le'Veon Bell was the Buffalo Bills, a team that wants to be able to run the football. Devin Singletary's a good back. I'll take Mark Ingram over him. The Miami Dolphins. I mean, Matt Breida and Jordan Howard, that one has not worked out whatsoever. I actually think he'd be a great fit in Chicago ever since Tariq Cohen went down. I mean, Ingram can still catch the football. 49ers, him in that system with a Mostert injury would be fun. And the Eagles don't have Miles Sanders for the next 2 weeks. Just something to think about there, especially because the Eagles did say they're going to get aggressive.
Now, if you want the latest NFL trade rumors and news, because there will be some trades that happen this year, hit the big red button and subscribe today. That way you don't miss out on a single video, NFL, NBA, whatever related, here at Chat Sports. So if you haven't already, if you're part of like the 50% who watch and aren't subscribed, let's do that right now. Subscribe to Chat Sports. Now, speaking of latest, this came on just about 20 minutes before we started today's live show. Not even, actually. David Njoku has requested a trade again. Remember, Njoku requested one before the season began, then backed off it. Now the report from Mary Kay Cabot is he wants to be traded by the NFL trade deadline. Mitch already had him on the show.
Well, that is news to me, so good job, Tom, for getting that little nugget in there. I mean, this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, right? He has not been used. And when I remember the good years of Njoku was really early on, I was like, man, this kid out of Miami, he's talented, he's long, he's lanky. He just doesn't fit what the Browns are trying to do right now. This is a run-first football team. Njoku, not the best blocker. However, as soon as they made the move for Austin Hooper, I was like, okay, you might as well get him out of there. And there are a lot of teams out there that could use a healthy pass-catching tight end. Yes, they're using Harrison Bryant more. No offense to him. He's not better than David Njoku.
When Bryant and Njoku have been healthy, it's clearly been Austin Hooper 1A.
Yes.
Bryant and Njoku kind of 2A, or Hooper 1, Bryant Njoku 2A, 2B, which is fine, but I don't really think you're maximizing David Njoku's abilities, making him a backup tight end. Speaking of maximizing, in this case, your money, go get an NFL jersey on sale, up to 33% off, limited time only. Chatsports.com/jersey sale. We'll get that link in the comments and in the description. Go check out. They got jerseys for all 32 NFL teams. This Julio Jones one, speaking of players who could be traded.
I know, right?
Hey, maybe they trade him, maybe they don't. They got jersey insurance next to us, so they'll take care of you if he does get shipped out. Also, that one's super on sale because it's an old jersey, but I love the Falcons red. Go check it out, chatsports.com/jersey sale.
All right, Tom, let's look at some potential Njoku landing spots. New England Patriots, this has been a team that's been flirted with for a long time, and after they just struggled against Denver,
gives
they're
them
at
a real
2-3.
seam stretcher.
Exactly. The Green Bay Packers, that's a team that didn't – they definitely need a tight end. You could also maybe view him as a wide receiver as well. Arizona would be a fun fit.
I think that's a really good – I like Arizona in particular.
Yeah.
Keep helping out Kyler Murray. Give him an actual option at tight end.
The Titans, they don't know how long Jonnu Smith is going to be out. He left week 6. Yeah, week 6 with an injury. And then the Jags, the reason why I threw this one out is because if all those other teams – who I would say are probably still in that win-now mode, maybe the Jags could potentially move out and get a player because Tyler Eifert, he ain't it.
So that was Mitch's list here. We want to hear from you guys as well. Who do you think should trade, or at least try to trade, because the Browns probably still want to move him, trade for David Njoku? This will be the pinned comment on today's video. If you haven't already, scroll on down and get your votes in. Let's talk Anthony Harris here in Minnesota, the Vikings safety playing on the franchise tag.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at Minnesota. They're in sell now mode, right? I mean, and they absolutely should be. This is a team that invested all their money in Kirk Cousins, and we sat here and said, maybe that wasn't such a smart idea. Now, Anthony Harris is one of the top free agents this past offseason, and I would have said he was the number 1 safety. Luckily for the Vikings, there are a lot of teams out there, big-name teams, that could really, really use a safety. So if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, if I'm the Raiders, heck, if I'm the Browns, Saints, or the Miami Dolphins, I'm picking up the phone, and I am going to give them, the Vikings, a call to see what is it going to take to get Anthony Harris. And out of all these teams, I mean, the team that has the most draft capital, it's the Dolphins. But the team that I think that should do it the most is probably the Cowboys or Raiders.
I think it's the Raiders. Cowboys' money is a tricky part for Anthony Harris. I actually like the Raiders fit there in particular. I think that might be a better path for those two organizations. Now, spoiler alert, we're going to talk about J.J. Watt here in just a second. Before we do, who's the better trade target, though? Type H for Anthony Harris or type W for J.J. Watt? Get your votes in the comments section. And, of course, speaking of Watt and Mitch, what do you think here?
I like J.J. Watt, and this one would actually hurt me a little bit because he is the face of the franchise. I know Deshaun Watson's the quarterback.
The face of the city.
And that's the problem here, right? I mean, what he's done for this city has been incredible. But he's 31 years old. They're not in win-now mode. And Houston's 2021 projected cap, because the cap's supposed to go down, is at minus $14.5 million. J.J. Watt, over the next 2 seasons, he's scheduled to make $15 and then $17 million. None of that is guaranteed. If you are an NFL team and you're honestly looking yourself in the mirror, you trade J.J. Watt because there's value there, and he's been good this season.
The tricky part for Houston, even though I think there are a litany of potential very logical landing spots for J.J. Watt, because, he's J.J. Watt.
Absolutely.
Who's really in charge right now of this team? Yeah, there's a report that they want to sell.
Yeah.
Ownership probably a little bit more actively involved here. And ownership probably says, I don't want to trade J.J. Watt.
Yep.
Ownership also might feel like, hey, we are clearly going to be bad this year, but we can compete next year. And a J.J. Watt trade does not help you do that because he can still help you.
I want him to go to the Steelers. All 3 brothers on one team.
That's why you put him on there, isn't it?
Maybe.
It'd be fun.
All right, next guy.
That is Sam Darnold, who, as of right now, reminder, the Jets in shape to get the number 1 overall pick.
I think they're going to get it.
I think they will, too.
I think they're gonna
and if they get the number 1 overall pick, I think they have to take Trevor Lawrence, which means you trade Sam Darnold, and teams are already calling the Jets about Sam Darnold.
No, it doesn't really surprise. I mean, he's the number 3 overall pick in 2018. Has the numbers been good? No. But has the personnel been good around him? Absolutely not. He's also has Adam Gase as a head coach. I mean, this is a guy who's been set up to fail. And you want to talk about failing. We had this debate, and I'm curious what you guys have to say. Who's worse, the 2020 Jets or the 2008 Lions? This Lions team went 0-16. Points per game, advantage Lions. Points allowed, though, advantage Jets. Total yards, advantage total yards per game is the Jets. Yards allowed, Jets. Turnover differential, the Jets.
I'm going to go Lions still.
You think the Lions are worse?
I think the Lions are worse.
I agree.
I think the Jets will figure it out in the sense that they'll be able to win a game.
I do think, though, that people just need to understand the Jets are bad. The Lions were
they were bad.
Really, really bad. It's hard to go 0-16. But if you think the Jets are going to get the number 1 pick, go ahead and like the video. And, Tom, since you do a lot of NFL draft stuff, and if you guys want to follow Tom on Twitter, he's at What Going Downey for the draft. They got to take this guy, Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's what you have to do because there is no guarantee in the NFL draft, and the Jets are literally seeing that unfold with Sam Darnold.
Yep.
I know that team is bad. The supporting cast has been mediocre at best, but Darnold hasn't really shown a whole lot.
Yeah.
And if you were being honest about where the players were when they were coming out of the NFL, between Trevor Lawrence and Sam Darnold, you take Trevor Lawrence. And you're no longer in, well, they're both first-year cheap quarterbacks. You are now in, if you don't take Lawrence, you have to believe Darnold is the guy long-term.
Yep.
And you're probably shouldn't do that. So you take Trevor Lawrence, you reset the clock, by the way, of the cheaper quarterback contract. Speaking of cheap quarterbacks, Dwayne Haskins, who has already been demoted to third string a year and a half after being the number 15 overall pick and on head coach number 3 in that same time frame.
I mean, you're looking at a player again. There's going to be somebody that takes a shot. I mean, this is like the Josh Rosen experiment where you had a quarterback go in the top 15. Somebody's going to see his talent, and they're like, you know what? I can make something out of Dwayne Haskins. I don't know if that's true or not. But the real debate's going to come down where I think Sam Darnold is going to be on the trade block. Dwayne Haskins is going to be on the trade block. And it's going to be, who's the better trade target? I mean, who would you go with, Sam Darnold or Dwayne Haskins? I personally am going to go for Darnold.
I think I'd go for Darnold. I know things get dicey. Haskins has impressed me even less than Darnold has. So it is a very tricky discussion to have because in theory you've got a longer time frame to evaluate Haskins. I do think, regardless of which way you vote, there is one team, Mitch, that really stands out as the perfect fit for both of these guys.
Agreed.
Specifically Sam Darnold. I think it's the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I thought you were going to say the Cowboys.
No, it's Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'm kidding. No, I agree. It's the Steelers. You get that healthy backup quarterback because nobody wants to see Mason Rudolph out on the football field again. Sorry, producer Dylan. But Ben Roethlisberger's been great, and you got to think about the future. Here are some potential Haskins and Darnold fits.